Ladies and gentlemen, we have another episode of Different Perspectives. And today we have a very, very special guest. My dear friend, Lisa Watson Wajed, is with me. And today I wanted to talk about, because we're doing a special for Pride Month, right? So all this month I'm doing shows focusing on queer issues, queer thoughts, queer relations, queer theology, queer everything, queer love, all of that. And so today I wanted to talk to Lisa because she's the mother of Julie J. And I'm sure most of you that are listening, you may follow Julie J on Instagram and other places. If you don't, go follow her now, and then you'll know who she is. If not, Google her. She's amazing. But I wanted to talk to Lisa today, and everybody give her a round of applause for coming on. He agreed to do that for me. So how are you first?
I'm well. I'm
You're
well. Thank you for
well.
having me. Yes.
Thank you for coming. I wanted to have you on for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's important to hear different perspectives to all sides, right? And I just wrote a book, Shades of Acceptance, and it's a book for parents to help them on the process when their children are coming out, whether they're kids' age or their adult age, middle age, whatever. And I thought about you the other day because I know that you have spoken highly when I've spoken to you about your daughter. And so I wanted to talk to you about what was that process like for you and how did you feel about it? Like, we've heard people say as parents, I always knew my child was that way. I think I was listening to a interview with Magic one time, and I think he said he might have knew, but he didn't want to know or something. I'm not sure. Don't y'all quote me on that, but I think that's what he said. So I'm just wondering, like, if you go back in time, like, did you know? How early did you know? Did you think you knew, or were you like waiting, or was there a big kind of sigh, like, I know it's coming?
Well, first off, let me say thank you for having me and thank you for thinking so highly of me to communicate the love that I have for Julie and to share with people bits and pieces of the journey that I've had with her. And congratulations on your book,
Thank you. Thank
because
you.
I know
Thank you.
it's going to reach many people and touch lives. And interestingly, when you contacted me, it was a time when I needed to be contacted by a good friend who could hear me and understand me, and we could share things that have happened in our lives in regards to the queer journey. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. In answer to your question, though, I don't think it was something that I have not known about Julie. Julie was and is a beautiful child. And I really felt like the day that I gave birth to Julie, that it was a relationship that would never be severed. It was something very unique and special. And I don't know how to really describe that. I'm sure most parents feel that way about their children, but in some kind of magical way, I knew I was put on this earth to be Julie's parent. Did I know on that day that Julie would take the path that she has? No, that did come later in life, not only just by my own understanding of who Julie was, but her own profession, her own, an acknowledgement of who she is and who she's becoming. So the initial time, if you're looking for an initial time of me recognizing who Julie was, when Julie was about 4 years old. This is such a sweet story to me, but I had picked her up from childcare. It was a preschool, and she was in a costume play area where you would dress up and play with your friends and things like that. They had all kinds of costumes, but the costume that Julie had on was the red sequence dress.
Oh my. Okay.
And it was darling.
Okay.
And I looked at her and said, wow, that's a beautiful dress. She said, thank you, mommy, and looked so happy. And I said, well, we've got to get ready to go, though. Got to take the dress off. And she says, okay. And I say all this to say it was so natural
Mm-hmm.
for her with that
That
red sequence dress on. It wasn't shameful. It wasn't unusual. It just was play.
did you give that a lot of thought?
I don't know if I gave it a lot of thought, but it was like instant that I knew who she was.
Okay. So kind of for you then right there, you kind of said,
Yeah, I said to myself, well, and I'm not even sure if I really knew how to put it into words.
right.
I just knew that, okay, this is a journey I'm going to go on with my child.
Hmm.
And get ready, brace yourself. Because as loving as my response was to her, that may not have be the what the world's is.
It's most of the time it's not what the world says.
Yes, exactly. So that is really the starting point for me. At that point, though, I didn't really change anything that was happening in my house or restrict any play or anything like that. No, it didn't seem odd to me, I
Right.
suppose, is that, that's how you want to look at it. And life moved forward.
Did you feel a sense of, because at that time she was still he. So did you feel a sense of, I need to protect my son because one day he's going to be she?
Yes, Julius, that was Julie's former name. Julius was a small, petite little boy, but very smart, kind of like the brainiac of the class, really kind of scientific and was just highly intelligent. So there was that aspect of Julius at that time, but highly entertaining, always wanted to be in theater productions or summer camp acting or things like that, where it was developing his talent at the time. And I encouraged it. I encouraged all of my children to pursue. I have three in total biological children, and each one of them is very different. And whatever their interests were, I encouraged those interests. We lived in Texas, and that's hard. That's a hard thing because encouraging your child to pursue the arts, especially a little boy, is so discouraged because everybody's supposed to be playing sports. Everybody is supposed to, play football, basketball, soccer, baseball, whatever it is. And that just was not something that interested Julius at the time. And I was okay with that. That was not always how well he was received. He wasn't received that way. He did get teased in school. He did get, for lack of a better word, bullied in school. We faced those challenges, but he rose to the occasion. And even though I'm sure it was very painful inside of who he was, and he was still learning who he was, because quite frankly, he was a child. He was learning who he was. It was my job to navigate that path and be there as a support.
One thing that I did talk about in the book was when a person is coming out, it's all different types of coming out because obviously there's a difference between being gay, being transgender. Obviously
Mhm.
we're talking about Julie was once Julius, so Julie's just transgender now she's Julie. And
Mhm.
that's for me, that's different than being gay. And I don't want
Mhm.
to say that that's harder because I
Mhm.
don't necessarily know for sure, but I would imagine that, if you're a transgender and you have felt like you've been trapped in another body for a very long period of time, that can't be
Yes.
comfortable. And so one of the things that I said in my book is that everybody who is a part of this alphabet soup that we've named has their own story as to how they got there. And most of the time, when you come out, you're still navigating that coming out process. Most of the time, people have not all the way come out when they tell their closest family. They're still working through some things, and how they're received can sometimes take them in a great place or it can take them, in a bad place. So I'm wondering from your perspective as a parent, do you think that because you were accepting that helped?
Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did, but that does not change that they have a journey that is difficult. As accepting
Mm-hmm.
as I may have been, I'm sure that there was a sense that my parent loves me, but then I'm also sure that the child sees the different dynamics that are going around me as an adult and wanting to not disrupt the family dynamics. I think it's a heavy weight. It's a heavy weight, that journey that you're referring to, because I do believe that Julie was on a journey that of many things that we may not have known about, that he may not have felt comfortable
Mm-hmm.
enough to share with us, especially the transition to Julie.
Yes.
And that has been a beautiful, and there has been pain, both
Yeah. Yeah.
in that transition. I would hope that what listeners hear from this is to remember to be as open as you possibly can in communication with your child and really listen,
Yep.
because every day on this journey, and it is a journey because I learn things every day. I am the parent that wants to be the expert. I want to know all there is to know. I want to know what every acronym is. I want to know what certain words mean. I'm Googling, I'm reading, I'm doing all of these things because I want to know my child.
Ooh, Lisa, as a gay person, let me tell you, that's unrealistic.
In a world where every love story is unique, From Jen with Love celebrates every shade of love. We believe in the power of love that knows no bounds, and we're here to add a sprinkle of joy to your most cherished moments. From the first glimpse of your dream wedding cake to the moment you share the first bite, we're with you every step of the way. Our bespoke cakes are crafted with the utmost care and personalized to reflect your unique journey together. Imagine a cake as unique as your love story. Whether it's the colors of the rainbow that speak to you or the intricate designs that tell your tale, our creations are more than just cakes. They're symbols of celebration, love, and inclusivity. At From Gin with Love, we're proud to stand with the LGBTQ plus community. Our doors are open to everyone, and our mission is to create beautiful, memorable experiences for all couples because love in all its forms is worth celebrating. Let us be a part of your love story. Together, we'll create a masterpiece that's extraordinary as your love because every love story deserves to be celebrated. From Jen with Love. Visit our website or call us today to start planning the cake of your dreams.
Ooh, Lisa, as a gay person, let me tell you, that's unrealistic. You putting unnecessary pressure on yourself because there are things that are coming out that we don't know. And I'm gonna tell you, when we were talking about the coming out process, I remember when I did tell the closest people I would consider my family around me. And I remember trying to navigate through what it meant to be a lesbian. And I could talk to them about that. And I was fumbling, 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 fumbling. So I only could talk to people who were lesbians about that. And depending on who those people surrounding me were, depending on what type of advice I got. But I knew that even though the people who I had chosen to tell, those people who stuck with me still loved me, I still didn't share a lot with them concerning that journey. I think now I am way, way more open than what I have ever been. But now I'm so comfortable in my skin. And I'm also a lot older now. And I'm also on a journey to try to educate people to help them understand. So it's like I'm the resident person to ask. But there was a time where I wouldn't have told my family. I mean, there were times where I would have maybe shared or I did share some things with them. And I wish that I did because I know they don't understand the gay lifestyle like that. And so it's a lot that goes into that.
And I think that because you just hit the nail on the head. To me, you're still learning yourself.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into that.
I think Julie is too. And I think some of the questions that I probably asked her.
She may not know. And I think culture too. And this is something that I've been trying to tell people, there's a difference between black and white culture. There's a difference between black gay culture and white gay
Oh,
culture.
yes. Oh,
There's a
yes.
difference. There's a difference between what happens on certain spectrums. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the gay world that we just won't share.
Well, that brings up something that I think is really important too, because as you have said that, one of the things that I have gained from the relationship with Julie as his mother or as her mother, she had expressed to me at one point prior to her coming out as trans that she had wished that I was able to provide for her people that she could talk to, people that were in the lifestyle, specifically to a couple of people that we were very close to. And one of the things that I thought about, and it made me really sad because I thought, gosh, yes, wouldn't it have been wonderful to give Julie a mentor, somebody that she could talk to and navigate this life? But as you said, people don't talk about it. And they didn't talk about their private lives. And these were older gentlemen that really did not disclose to me that they were gay.
And you also have to think about generations.
It was a generation issue. It was completely a generation issue.
Yes, and there's even a difference in my generation and her generation and the generation after her. And
these were two Black men, two
yeah,
African American men, and we were all very close.
yeah.
But not once I don't remember once in my childhood. Now, these were men older than myself. So, not once in my childhood do I remember anyone saying that they were gay or them professing that they were gay. It was just understood. It was just understood. So, there's this disconnect that I'm hoping that parents can connect with people that are quality people, but people that can mentor and provide wisdom in the lifestyle that they are growing into being. And that's not always easy. I think it depends on where you live. I think it depends on who your network is, who your circles are. I knew when I said that I felt like I was to be the parent of Julie, I had been introduced to this lifestyle a very long time ago. Was something that was surrounded by me as a child. So it was not unfamiliar to me to be around a lot of quality people who happened to be gay.
So you had the exposure.
Yes, that was my norm. Was it a norm that they would say to me that they were? They were just living life. It was just, I knew them out of connections with my mother. That's it.
But you didn't have a negative connotation.
No, at all.
Do you know how many people that when they think of gay people, they only have a negative connotation?
Yeah, never, never, never. My experience was never negative.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what I'm saying to you when I say I feel like when I'm with Julie, even though we don't see each other as often as I would like, I think matter of fact, I saw Julie twice last year. I haven't seen her this year. And when we are together, I mean, I adore her. I mean, she just is my heart. She's my firstborn. But I also see the loneliness sometimes that comes along with parenting a child who is gay or transgender. I see can be some isolation at times, and that's not good. I feel that building a community around you that is loving and supportive in the best way that you can, and making sure that your child gets to where they can be in a community of support, whether it's your own family or their newfound family, that is extremely important. People would always ask me, well, aren't you worried about Julie being so far away from you when living in Texas and she's all the way in New York? And well, a couple things. One thing, she's talented. So Julie is a performer. We've known this for a very long time. So sending her and getting her to the New York area, that was number one, to meet her goals as an actress. I mean, just to meet those goals. She's highly talented. The other thing is that I wanted her to find her tribe. I wanted her to feel accepted. I wanted her to be able to walk down the street and hold hands. I wanted her to be able to kiss someone. I wanted her to be able to live in a community that doesn't look down upon her. You want to be somewhere where you are free. Happiness is freedom to be who you want to be. And, it may be a lonely journey for a point, but you will find your tribe and you will find those people if you're willing to keep going. And I think a lot of the children who don't have that support or even that push, because I'm going to tell you, parents can be supportive and they can be smothering too, or they can be neglectful. They can go a lot of different ways. Neglectful is not what you want. Smothering is not allowing your child to become the person that they are supposed to become either. It's pushing them and giving them some grit to get out there and do it. And she's a star. I toot my child's horn. She's a star. she's a star. But to become that star, she's earned every corner, every point on that star herself. She's run everything herself. She's had a lot of love and support, even if it's from afar. But she is out there kicking ass in this community and lifting the community up at the same time, giving back to the community at the same time, which is something, I used to always encourage her. She went to a Catholic high school. Talk about challenging. She was the only Black child in her senior class and the only Black gay that had come out. We don't know who else was around, but that in itself was a feat. But I remember always saying to her, listen, if you were to ever do anything to give back to Nolan, I'd want you to do a scholarship specifically for Black kids, specifically for Black kids, specifically for Black kids. Make sure that they can get in. She's doing exactly what she's meant to do, and that is to give back to her community.
And I think she should be celebrated for that.
Yeah. I mean, to everyone. I mean, she's really giving back to her community, who she identifies with. And it's just so awesome.
And I think she should be celebrated for that, because I think there is competition amongst Blacks, even in the LGBTQ world. There are some of us that have become very successful. We have different projects going on. We've been noticed by the right people. And we know other people who are trying to do great things, yet we don't try to help them. I'm big on highlighting, great Black gay representation or transgender representation, because what you do not see a lot of is appropriate representation. That's what you don't see. What you see on TV is not the real life. That's not an appropriate representation. And I think if we helped each other more become seen, I think it would enable some change in the way that, folks try to treat us in different spaces. What I want to ask you though is, so, if you could say anything to Julie at this point in her life and in her career, what would you say to her?
Keep rising, keep elevating yourself, take care of yourself. Because Julie is the type of person who wants to see great change and wants to be a catalyst of great change in her community. She already has done that. She's proven herself being a change maker. I want her to fulfill her own desires and goals in life. There's nothing wrong with doing for yourself and finding great joy in who she is becoming, because it only gets better in life. It only gets better. The journey may seem hard, it may seem long and tiresome at times, but she's making great, effective change. And to really hone in on her talent, to keep shining. And the star is it's just getting higher and higher. And I'm proud of who she is, all of her, all of her. And to be protective of her spirit. I think that there's a lot of people out there that don't always work for our good. And to be mindful of that, surround yourself with quality people. Your circles sometimes get smaller, but it becomes more quality. And I think she understands that. I do. The becoming Julie J may not be new in her soul, but it's new on the outside. And watching her evolve into this person that she has longed to be is refreshing and new, and will have some ups and downs, but to keep going.
Well, I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. And I think that's enough for me. Like I said, especially since I've written this book, I talked to a lot of parents who are really struggling and are definitely not where you are. And so I want to applaud you as well, Lisa, because as a gay person, I can tell you being gay, transgender, bi, none of that is for the faint at heart. And being a parent of that person, I also don't think it's for the faint at heart, because any parent wants to protect their child from being hurt, from being harmed, from being judged. And once a person steps into that and accepts that, there is some trouble that's going to come their way. And that's just how life is. Being different is that way. And so I applaud you. I applaud you for loving your baby, for supporting your baby, and for still loving your baby, and for still supporting your baby, and for the encouragement that you are offering now. I think that takes some real about you as a mother. And I can appreciate that as a person who necessarily didn't have that. So I want to say thank you. And I'm sure there are plenty of gay kids listening, crying right now because they like, oh my goodness, I wish that was my mom.
Let me tell you, I think it is a mission of mine. I believe this wholeheartedly. I am that classroom teacher that has pictures of my beautiful drag queen child on the walls in the classroom. I am that teacher who has a sign that says welcome all. I am that teacher that has LGBT, you know what I'm trying to say,
Yep, I do.
visible. And I am that teacher that recognizes it in you as a student before you sometimes do. And that gives me great joy. It gives me great joy to give a child a sense of peace and knowing that they're going to be loved no matter what their internal feelings are. I mean, I recognize that about myself. And I think Julie gave that to me in many ways.
Yes.
Or Julie gave that to me.
Yes. Well, we thank Julie too for that. Thank you so much, Julie, because that type of love is beautiful to see. And I think there'd be less suicides if that love was more rampant in the parent-child relationship. If people weren't so afraid to say who they really are, there'd be a lot of less mental health issues, a lot less of a whole lot of other things. And so, like I said, this has just been a beautiful experience. I knew this conversation would be. I can feel the love illuminating from you, and that's a beautiful thing. And so, for everybody that listened today, I thank you for coming and listening. Miss Lisa Watson Wajed, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, honey. I really appreciate it.
Yes. And when you speak to Miss Julie, please give her my best.
Yeah, I will. Honey, she is rocking out. I don't know if you saw that schedule, but honey, she is tight from the top to the bottom of June.
I did. Just put in a good word for me, honey. I'm trying to get an interview. Just put in a good word. Julie, listen, please let me interview you, girl. Please.
Yes, she's wonderful.
Please. But thank y'all for listening. It's been a great episode. I'll be back real soon. It's Pride Month, so we'll talk soon. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Until we meet again, I wish you all well and I bid you peace. Thank you for listening.
Hello, listeners. Jennifer here, host of Different Perspectives. As we celebrate Pride Month, I want to take a moment to share something very special with all of you. Have you ever found yourself navigating the complex journey of parenthood after your child has said to you they're gay? It can be a challenging road to walk, but let me assure you, you're not alone. That's why I wrote the booklet, Shades of Acceptance, Navigating Parenthood After Coming Out. In this heartfelt booklet, I share my own experiences along with practical advice and compassionate guidance to help parents like you understand, accept, and support your LGBTQ+ children with love and authenticity, no matter how old they are. Whether you're struggling with questions of faith, acceptance, or simply how to best support your child, Shades of Acceptance offers insight and wisdom to guide you on this journey. I encourage you to get your copy today. Head over to Amazon or my website, www.thejenniferexperience.com, to grab your copy today. As a matter of fact, I have a special treat for you. If you use the code PRIDE, PRIDE, you'll get $10 off either the e-booklet or a physical copy. Let's make this Pride Month a celebration of love, understanding, and acceptance for all. Thank you for listening, and remember, love is always the answer, and love still conquers all. I love all of you. Take good care.